A review from Monday's notes. Listen carefully to my question before you answer. What is the general formula for volumes of cylinders and prisms? The general formula for volumes of prisms and cylinders.
B equals big B times H.
Okay, big B times H. What does that B stand for? Base area. So you replace it with the area formula based on the shape of your base. What are the bases that we've had? Okay, we've had triangles, we've had circles, and rectangles and squares. What is the formula for area of a triangle? 1/2 base times height is just the area of a triangle. What's the area of a circle? Pi r squared. What's the area of a rectangle? Length times width. These get replaced with your big B, depending on what your base is. So if I look at number 1, what shape is the base? And remember, for prisms and cylinders, the bases, the top and the bottom, are exactly the same. So what is the base of this figure? What shape? A triangle. Hint to you, every time you see a triangle, that's your base. Okay, so here's the triangle, whether it's on the top or the bottom. So I'm using volume equals 1/2 base times height times the height of the whole thing. What is the base and the height of the triangle? 3 and 4. 3 and 4 create the 90-degree angle. Do you see that? Okay. What is the height of the entire prism? 2. 3 times 4 is 12. Times 2 is 24. Divided by 2 is 12 centimeters cubed. That should be your answer for number 1.
Yes, I got that.
Great. Number 2. What shape is the base of this figure? Okay, you can look at it as a square or a rectangle. Doesn't matter. If you look at it as a rectangle, you would be talking about this piece here. Okay. For volume, it's length times width times the height. What's the length and the width of that rectangle? 9 and 5. And then the height of the whole thing would be this one, which is 5. 225 feet cubed. Would it be wrong if what? I'm sorry? Yes. Pi is only for circles. There is no circle here. Number 3, you either have a rectangle or a square base, right?
Right.
So volume equals length times width times height. What did you choose for your length and your width?
9. I mean, there's only one number.
9 and 6. Okay, I just want you to be aware. If you choose 9 and 6, you are choosing this small rectangle on the top and bottom as your base. That's fine. If you chose 9 and 9, then you're choosing this big square as your base. That's fine too. The reality is you're multiplying, so it doesn't matter a whole lot. 9 times 6, and then what would my height be if I chose that one? 9. And then can someone tell me what that answer is? 486 inches cubed. Okay. Lastly, for a cylinder, what shape is my base? Okay, so this is where pi r squared comes in. What is my radius?
It's 9.
9, because it's half the diameter, and the height? 81 times 9. Okay, so 729 pi centimeters cubed. Did anyone round to the nearest tenth?
No.
Can you? 2,290.2 centimeters cubed. You should practice that because I will ask you for both on a test. Okay? Questions on volume. for prisms and cylinders.
No, got it.
Got it? Great, because we're moving on today to cones and pyramids. So, will we what? I'm sorry? Yes. So the question was, will I ever ask for both answers? Yes, I will ask you to leave it in terms of pi, and yes, I will ask you to round to the nearest tenth. So you need to know how to do both. Okay. You should have a purple sheet of paper. You should have a purple sheet of paper.
Yes.
What color does that look like?
This is purple.
Okay. All right, so you have your notes on pyramids and cones. I wasn't going to make you draw them because they're a whole lot more difficult to draw. What is something you notice? Let's listen and pay attention. What is something you notice, a big difference that you notice between cylinders and prisms and pyramids and cones? What is a big difference? Jonathan.
More numbers and more shapes.
More numbers and more shapes. What do you mean by more shapes?
Huh? No, not like that.
Let me clarify.
Listen. I don't know what I just said. Now.
Okay. Like,
all the points connect that one vertex.
everything comes up to a point, right? Does everyone see how all of them come up to a point where cylinders and prisms were flat on the top and the bottom? That is a huge difference and something you need to know. Okay, so cylinders and prisms use V equals big B times H. Pyramids and cones, our general formula is 1/3 big B times little h. So if they come to a point, you have 1/3 in front of your formula. 1/3 times big B times little h. What do you think B stands for? Base area. Now looking at all of these figures, what shapes are your bases? Circle, triangle, square, and rectangle. Which means you still need to know the formula for area of a circle, area of a triangle, area of a rectangle. Yes?
Could you do like base area times height divided?
Yes. Okay, so you need all of those things.
So the 1/3 applies to all these.
The 1/3 applies to all of these. Anything that comes to a point. So pyramids and cones, no matter what type of pyramid it is, cones always have the same base. It's 1/3 the base area times the height. Okay? So if I look at number 1, what shape is the base? Okay, great. It's a right triangle. So here is your base. Right? That's where it's sitting. So I'm using one-third. What am I replacing the big B with? One-half base times height. It's a triangle. So 1/2 the base times the height. I haven't put any numbers in. I'm just figuring out what my formula is. Area of a circle. Okay, so here is my big B. I replaced it with 1/2 base times height because my base is a triangle. Now I'm going to plug in information that I know. So 1/3 times 1/2. What is the base and the height of the triangle? 3 and 4. The two sides that create the 90-degree angle. What is the height of the entire pyramid? 5. It goes from the base to that point at the top. Okay, in your calculators, 3 times 4 times 5 divided by 2 divided by 3, or you can do 3 times 4 times 5 divided by 6.
Whoa. Oh, we moved the numbers.
You following that?
Right?
What'd you get? 10 is correct. 10 feet cubed. So again, you can do 3 times 4 times 5, you get 60, and then 60 divided by 2, and then 30 divided by 3, or 3 times 2 is 6, so you can multiply those and divide by 6.
Can we do like just the base area first with the height and then at the end divided by 3?
Yes. So the question was, can we just do the base area times the height and at the end divided by 3? Sure. Doesn't matter what order you multiply in. What's the question? Okay. So number 2 is exactly the same. I would like you to try number 2. Go ahead.
56 kilometers cubed.
I don't know how you got that.
I got it.
Oh,
I gotta explain it? Come on.
I'll do that.
So what did you replace the big B with?
3 and 4. No, I think that's what I'm saying. 6 and 8.
I got it.
Jonathan, what did you replace the big B with?
7.
I got you. Okay.
Well, I got
So it's 1/2 times 8 times 6.
Okay, so 1/2 base times height times height. I recommend that you write this out until you are really, really good at it and not just try to guess what numbers go where. The 1/3 screws people up, and then when you throw in a 1/2, they get all like crazy. Okay, I would write out the steps that you are seeing me write until you are fabulous at doing these. Now I can replace. Okay, so 1/3 times 1/2. What is the base and the height of the triangle?
6 and 7.
8 and 6.
8 and 6. It creates a 90-degree angle. 8 and 6 create the 90-degree angle for the base.
Right.
The height of the pyramid is 7. So 8 times 6 times 7 divided by 6 does give you 56 kilometers cubed. However, you need to make sure you are plugging the right things into the bases and the heights. Okay, just don't take whatever numbers you want and put them wherever you want. Because if you have a quiz, I'm going to make sure that you are actually plugging things in where they're supposed to be plugged in. Yes?
Okay, so if I said 8 equals 1/3 times 1/2, and then times 7 times 6 times 8.
So technically you're not plugging it into the right places, but because you multiply the same numbers, you're going to get the correct answer. So because 7 is the height of the whole thing, not the height of the base. Okay? All right, number 3, we have a cone. Formula stays the same, except what am I going to replace the big B with? Pi r squared, because that's the formula for area of a circle. So 1/3 times pi, what's the radius?
3.
3 squared times the height, which is 10. 3 squared is 9, times 10 is 90, divided by 3 is 30, so it's 30 pi feet cubed, or what is it rounded to the nearest tenth?
94.2.
94.2. feet cubed. The reason I give you the general formula, so this one here, is because this is really all that you need to memorize. If you know what B stands for, you should know all these other area formulas. You've learned them since like 6th grade. Okay, so if you can remember the general formula, it shouldn't be a stretch to plug in the area formulas for that B. Instead of me giving you 5 or 6 different formulas, I'm giving you 2 new ones. Everything else you should know. I would like you to try number 6, because number 6 and 3 are the same. So take a second and try number 6. So for number 6, because we're skipping to that one real quick, volume equals 1/3 pi r squared times the height. I'm using pi r squared because my base is a circle. 1/3 times pi, what's the radius? 1. And the height? 12. So 1 squared is 1 times 12 is 12. 12 divided by 3 is 4 pi feet cubed. And what is that rounded to the nearest tenth? 12.6 feet cubed. It's 12.6. Okay, I saw that some of you have already done 4 and 5, so I'm going to go through those. For number 4, what is the shape of the base for number 4? That's a square. So I'm replacing the big B with length times width, because it's a square, times the height of the whole thing. The length and the width are 9 and 9. The height is 12. 9 times 9 times 12 divided by 3 should give you 324 meters cubed. The only time you do 1/2 base times height is if the actual base is a triangle. You need to be cautious of what your bases are. What's the base for number 5? A rectangle. So 1/3 the length times the width times the height. 1/3, what's my length and width? 4 and 2, and the height? So 4 times 2 is 8, times 5 is 40, divided by 3, 13.3 feet cubed. Questions, comments, concerns? You need to make sure that your warm-up and these notes get glued and or taped onto pages 28 and 29 of your notebook. I'm going to project your homework